Here's the gist of Baba is you. Water is sink, so if you touch the water, we sink. Rock is push, flag is win. So can we push rock into water? That's not quite the result I expected, but that works. Okay. The wall is up there, so we can't make the wall not stop us. So we can't leave the wall, so we are stuck in this environment. So, rock is win. I think that should work. Yay! This is a top-down, grid-based puzzle game independently developed and published by Hempuli. The premise of the game is incredibly simple. In a pixelated, simplistic world, you are Baba, or rather, Baba is you. You control simply by pressing the arrow keys, and the goal, at first, is to walk over to the flag and complete the level. Simple, right? Well, here's the thing. All of these properties, as in flag is win, wall is stop, rock is push, and Baba is you, can be altered by pushing the blocks of text that make up the sentences around. So for instance, you could remove the piece of text saying stop from wall is stop and walk through walls freely. Rock is push can become rock is you, giving yourself control over boulders. So long as it's in the level and you can reach it, you can interact with any properties you desire. And all of the puzzles are designed around this. In fact, no objects are limited to any exclusive attributes. Sure, wall will usually stop you, flag will usually complete the level, and Baba is usually you. But often you'll have to get creative with your blocks of what is effectively code to manipulate the environment to your will. So for example, say a locked door stands in your way and a key opens it, revealing a room with the end flag. With enough clever movement of the stage's properties, you can make the wall count as a locked door that's opened by whatever's lying around, revealing the win condition block, which can be applied to the aforementioned key. Something is shut. What is shut? What does open or shut do? I'm assuming it just doesn't work, right? No, okay. Up is down. Stop is go. Wall is shut? Wall is shut. Wall is shut. Got it. Got it. Okay. Wall is shut. Wall is shut. Then we make star is open, which makes the key. Oh, whoops. Which makes it the key. And then we use the star to open the wall, which lets us out. Oh, brilliant. And then we make key is win. But key is also defeat. Oh, but I can stop that though. Key is win. And key is no longer defeat. Key is win. Yay! The game runs on an update-based system, meaning the world will only act when you, the player, moves. You can press space to wait a turn, making the world act while whatever you're controlling stands still. This is most often used for objects that are set to move, as they'll walk back and forth in whichever direction they were facing, able to push blocks of text around in creative ways. These blocks, by the way, are divided up into 3 categories. Objects, as in rock, wall, tree, Baba, so on and so forth. Properties, such as defeat, win, stop, move, and push. And conditions. At first, it may seem that the word is will be your only word in this category, acting as the bridge between objects and properties. However, as the game progresses, more of these words will spice things up. I don't want to give away some of the later, more creative words, but things such as and allows objects to have multiple non-conflicting properties, has, which means the object can drop objects upon death, and not, which inverses or limits whatever string it's applied to. To be clear, the syntax of a statement does not have to go object, condition, property, such as door is shut. You can get really interesting with it, such as not rock is Baba is you, which turns all the objects in the map that aren't a rock into Baba. And yes, you control literally all of them. Oh my god, this is so stupid. But flag is win, and I made flag Baba, so it's not gonna work. It's dumb, and I wish it worked, but it won't. Now, there are limitations. Blocks of text can only be pushed, not pulled, so if they're stuck in a corner, you can't manipulate them from every side. The line of text has to make logical sense and be legible either right to left or top to bottom. So for instance, "you is win" is not a valid line of text. However, in a sort of crossword puzzle style, text blocks can be used for multiple lines of code. So a completely valid win condition is "Baba is you" going one way and "Baba is win" the other. This makes being in contact with Baba the object of the game, and since Baba is you, you are also win. Sometimes properties can overwrite one another or cancel each other out. So trying to make "water is grass" to mow down all of the barricades in the stage won't work if elsewhere "water is water" is a present line of text. And most importantly of all, you. You're important, never forget that. While Baba doesn't necessarily always have to be you, if you change what object you're controlling to something not present, or invalidate the line of code by pushing it out of order, you'll become trapped and unable to move as there is no more you. Thankfully, the game has both a limitless undo action key, Z by default, and a restart key in case it all goes wrong. Now, you can probably already tell that I love this game, but I won't lie, some properties tend to be far more annoying than others. Pull, for example, will force any object set to it to follow behind you, whether you want them to or not. This can make the phrase "text is pull," for instance, hard to complete without accidentally pulling the text away afterwards. Defeat, sink, melt, and hot were all a little confusing at first, as they all seem to do pretty much the same thing, but in actuality, defeat simply kills whatever is set to you, sink will disappear when objects collide with it, and objects set to melt will be destroyed if they come into contact with anything set to hot. It took a bit of getting used to, but it all makes sense in the end. Although, don't even get me started on swap. Ugh. Getting back to what I love about this game, while many levels have an intended method of completion, oftentimes multiple solutions are present, and it's up to the player to be creative in how they complete the stage. After beating a level, you'll return to the overworld, a map filled with multiple areas with different themes. Some areas require points to be unlocked attained by completing levels, fairly straightforward. Perhaps my favorite levels, though, are bonuses unlocked after completing select stages. These are typically far more challenging versions of puzzles, usually accomplished by introducing new obstacles and or removing blocks of code completely. Okay, and then finally, boom. Now we have a word we can push around where we want it to go. So we can even bring it down here if we need it. So Baba has Baba is a fucking option, which is maybe what I have to do. Hold up. Please tell me this works. Oh my god! I'm invincible! I'm fucking invincible! I cannot die! Baba has Baba! Holy shit! The game is fairly lengthy depending on your problem-solving skills. I'd consider myself above average at puzzle games, and at 10 hours clocked I'd only gotten about halfway through the game, though this is partially due to some of the later levels getting far more complicated, taking me upwards of an hour or more to solve. Speaking of, a level editor is in the works for release down the line. All things considered, for $15, I'd say this game is well worth the time of anyone looking to work their brain. If you're a fan of games that force you to think outside of the box, Baba is You is for you. Before I go, I'd like to thank the developer Hempuli for granting me early access to Baba is You. I was able to get this video out so quickly because of this, and I had a ton of fun streaming it over on Twitch. Links to everything are in the description. Regardless, thanks for watching, and take it easy.